Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Qdaboss.
What's going on, guys? Listen, we got another special episode. As you can see, I'm smiling. I'm excited about this one. Today, I'm about to learn a lot. I'm picking brains. I'm getting knowledge. I'm learning something today I don't know. And I'm humble enough to say this. These guys right here are special. I've been watching them for a while, and they're out here tearing it up, man. I'm talking about buying land all over the place, right? And to look like them, I'm happy because they're everywhere, bro. I'm like, oh my God. But listen, these are the Acre Boyz, man. These guys, man, oh my God. Let me let y'all introduce yourself by names, man.
Yes, sir, for sure.
My name is Ray.
My name is Jay.
And as Q stated, we are
The Acre Boyz. That's right.
Man. It's an honor to be here.
For sure. Definitely appreciate the invite.
Appreciate
Sure.
the
Yes, sir.
invite. Before we jumped on here, you said something, we'll get into that. You said something that was key. You said, yo, we follow each other, and you have to vet who you bring on these shows.
Yes,
sure.
yes.
And the reason that I chose y'all because I see that y'all been consistent. So we don't have to dive into that now, but consistency.
Let's talk about it.
It's the recipe.
Listen,
It's the recipe now. It's the recipe.
Listen, guys, I watched them, and I'm going to be honest with you. And these days, you have to be very, very conscious of who you invite. As you can see, there are a lot of false prophets and a lot of false gurus. These guys are consistently doing things. I see my guy on a regular. We go to a nutritional, as you can see, we're a little stocky, right? We go to a nutritional spot, right? So, we chop it up. And I'm like, yo, this guy is real, man. And I can see his modesty and his humbleness, right? And I was like, no, we have to do this, man. We have to do this. But I got to get right into it. Like, what got you guys into the land?
I'll tell you something interesting, right? The interesting part about what got us in the land, right, is just, now I've been a mortgage broker before.
Okay.
I've done some physical labor. We talked about sanitation a little bit earlier, you know what I mean? But what happened was we were dealing with real estate, especially inside of the mortgage office. We were doing loans. Now, keep in mind, we were doing these loans where all you needed was a pulse and a heartbeat in order to get a loan. I know you're familiar with real estate, so you already know how that was.
Wild, Wild West.
And the Wild, Wild West, and it was real easy from that point, right? So one thing that nobody ever talked about was the land. We always were dealing with structures, right? But when it comes to the land, which is the primary asset, which everybody knows, we didn't know anything about that. And it's this term that kept getting thrown around, it's this tax deed thing. I've heard about it through a lot of different venues, but I've never seen anybody actually do it. So that was the initial first interest when we talk about, land investing for sure.
You know what's crazy? I want to get into that tax deed thing. A lot of people, especially on social media, they make it seem like it's so easy. And literally you can take over people's properties. Right? Like you said, I've never seen it.
For sure.
I've never seen it ever. I've heard it.
Right.
People tell me they do it.
Right.
But I've never seen anyone acquire a house from a tax deed.
For sure.
I've never seen it. So in your experience, what do y'all think about it, understand about it? Or know about it, rather.
Let me give you a whole breakdown of what a tax deed is. And this is for everybody. We teach this.
Okay.
So a tax deed in general is this in a nutshell. Across the country, you're in the houses. So across the country, whether you own a house or whether you own a piece of land, you have to pay what on it?
Taxes.
You have to pay taxes on it. When you neglect to pay the taxes on a property, whether that's a house or whether that's a piece of land, what happens?
You go into foreclosure.
You go into foreclosure. County, state, local municipality comes in and slap a lien on the property. They'll send you several notices. Pay your taxes. If you don't abide to the notice and pay the taxes, they'll come and they'll take back the property. What do they do with the property at that time? They put it on the chopping block. Who do they sell it to? They sell it to people that look like me and to people that look like you. Only problem is the people that look like us didn't know that you had the opportunity to go and buy these properties.
Yes.
Key thing about it is, how much do they want for these properties, right? They only want what's owed on the property. They don't want, the county doesn't care if a property is worth $50,000 and you lost it to taxes for $12,000.
Agreed.
I only want what's owed to me. If you owe me $12,000, that's what I'm selling it for, because that's how they keep counties functioning, off of taxpayers' dollars.
Of course.
So they don't look at the property and say the property is worth 50 grand and I'm going to sell it for 50. They look at it and say, well, what's owed on the tax roll? 12 grand. That's what we need back to sell it. You pick it up for 12. You got a property worth 50. Voila, there's your equity in it. That's how we make money off of tax deed.
Real talk.
See, this is conversation. It makes every bit of sense if you think about it, right?
Right.
Because any homeowner, any landowner understands you have taxes, right? And I think a lot of people don't measure that into the expenses of a property. Every time I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, my mortgage is." I'm like, "What are your taxes? Right. What are your taxes?" Right?
Right.
And that's what we have to really dive into as far as understanding, especially from a culture standpoint. For sure. I've seen a lot of people that look like us lose properties. Maybe their grandparents left them because of taxes. And a lot of the times those houses or particular lands are paid off. So like, let's raise some more awareness about it. How can someone avoid going into a situation like that? Right. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. You said something a minute ago. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, for sure.
But we talking about the Wild Wild West.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My mom, this is the reason I got into real estate, is because my mom lost her property on an adjustable rate. And I never knew what it was. I didn't know a fixed rate. I didn't know anything of it. So I've learned from her, right? And it made me want to learn real estate because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about it.
For sure, definitely. I think that, you know, as far as education is key. Like, you know, that's the first part where we're gonna start at anything. Education is key. Once you go ahead and you know how and you understand these lots and the asset that you're actually dealing with, just from a ground level, you'd be surprised how a lot of these counties, they are so helpful when it comes to actual making a phone call and asking any question that you need to ask. Now, the issue is a lot of people are intimidated because they may not know a lot about it, right? But what you'll find, which is crazy, in a lot of these counties, you can call up and ask any particular question from planning and zoning to any department that you want. They'll go ahead and tell you what the property's owned for, like you know already. They'll tell you what the taxes are. Now, when you're dealing with land, right, typically land doesn't have an address. They have something which is called the APN. APN stands for an assessor's parcel number. So a lot of people come up with that a long time. My grandfather owned land, or I got land over here, but I can't find it, don't have no address. Does that mean it doesn't exist? That just means you don't understand how to actually look for land. Once you go ahead and identify that APN, the APN is going to be the identifying mark for that particular piece of land all throughout the country.
Wow, so we learned something new.
For sure.
APN, I didn't know that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Humbly, I say this.
Yes, sir.
Humbly. So, like with land, right? What do you think is the real value of land? Like, what is the real value of it, and what is the premise? Why should we have it?
I think the real value of it is first it comes from a biblical standpoint. God said till the land.
Yeah, sure talk.
First and foremost, land is the very first real estate transaction in the history of the country. First and foremost, it started with a piece of land. Another point is they ain't making no more land, so that's why it's such a commodity that's so valuable. There won't be any more land made, right? Some raw numbers is half of America is vacant. 47% of it is vacant, on sale, right? We just need to know how to tap into it. Most people live in urban communities, and I like to simplify this. We all typically come from urban communities, but I don't care what state you live in, New York, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Chicago, wherever you live at. Once we step outside of city limits, your state gets rural, and it gets rural really quick. Think about New York City. Once we get outside of New York City, head upstate, it gets rural, it gets nothing but vacant land.
Yes.
Who owns the land? What is it being used for? Is it valuable? Is it on sale? These are some of the things that we have to start to educate ourselves on. I don't want to skip over the whole tax deed thing because we want to give the audience something that they can tap into, right?
Actionable steps, huh? That's what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Most of us don't know that we can go and pick up a piece of land for less than a pair of Michael Jordan shoes.
You know, that's the reason why you're here today. He said that the other day to me, and I said, what? Remember you said that?
Yeah.
Right.
And it resonated all day. I said, a pair of Jordans for some land.
I told you that day too. We gave the play, not necessarily for you, but for a young kid that may be 23 years old. Buy the land first. We show you how to sell the land, put it back on the market. You picked it up for $100, $150, put it back on the market for $2,000. What's the ROI on that? Now you could go and buy 5 pair of Jordans.
You're right.
But what I want to do for Q today,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
this has never been done. We've been on a TEV podcast, but this is
excited.
Yeah, for sure.
because a lot of people
We
talk
saw it
about
first.
things.
We saw it first.
Definitely here. A lot of people talk about things. I don't know if the camera could see that, but I'm gonna let Q say what it says. What does that say
It
on it?
says deeds.
Just say deeds on there.
Deeds mean power.
Ownership.
So you know, ownership, power.
So when you see these on here, there's a whole lot of these, and I'm not here to flex. I'm not here to say.
But we're proving what we do, right?
Right.
But you know, tangibly, our culture like to see things.
Yeah.
We come from the show me stage.
Yes.
Show me or you lying.
Yes. Just okay.
I didn't pull these out to flex on anybody.
Nah, we ain't taking it that way.
Right.
So please don't take it that way, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I pulled these out just to prove the point. When I tell you that you could buy a pair of Michael Jordan shoes, I'm gonna let Q do the honor. You tell me how much we paid for. These are all D's. You tell me how much.
Before I
we
read
paid
this,
for.
I never knew he was doing this.
Yeah, real talk.
That's my word. From my mouth to God's ears.
Real talk.
I never knew. So right now let's see numbers. What are your numbers? Damn, I see some of $50. An amount negotiable. What? It's $50.
$50 for a piece of
$50. I see it clear as day.
You can scroll to the next
Yeah, go through a couple more.
What?
Just
$50?
take a look.
$50. $50. $50 more dollars. $50. $50 more dollars. And I'm seeing the address and the locations are different. $50 more dollars. $55.
And on the bottom, these are. I'm gonna
And I
let you
see
do the
sold.
honor. Everything that, because we buy and sell, we were considered land flippers. So
Yes.
every time I sell it, so I don't get confused, being that we're dealing with so many, I write on the bottom. What's
Sold for?
Sold for. Bought
Sold.
for $50. How much we sold that one for?
So I'm gonna tell you this: $55 purchase, sold for $3,000. $3,000. I'm gonna give y'all one more. This one is bought for $55, sold for $1,500. Yeah, you want another one?
If you like, I mean, it's,
I'm like that. I'm cheesing.
Yeah, right.
Look, this one is also 55, and I'm sitting here telling you, I'm seeing the different locations, just so y'all know.
Right.
I'm seeing it. $1,500, bought for $55.
Now, let me tell you the
That's crazy.
interesting part about this, Q. We come from some mentorship that we had prior to, right? You see, usually when we get involved, it tend to go down. And the reason why I say that is because when we typically get involved, the game has been taken to another level, and what's left for us is crumbs at that point because they've had all the information first, right? But we come from a space where our mentors that showed us the tax deed business, right?
Yes.
Back in the days when they got involved, they were buying properties for $50 and selling them for $10,000.
Wow.
Whole different game. And I'm talking about, I'm talking about moving 10, 15, 20 a week for years.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm talking about from their phone. They're not sitting at a desk, they're not completely virtual. They've never seen a property in person, ever. They've understood how to do this from a digital standpoint, which made them rich rather fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
And very time effective, right?
For sure.
Yo, do me a favor to my director, yo, sell him $55. I'm about to get a piece of land. Sell him $55 right now. Yeah, that's fire. Listen. Yo, but guys, you see that this is the importance of knowledge, right? And this is why we bring this knowledge, because a lot of us don't know these things, right? And these guys are real and they're who they say they are, you know? But that's crazy, man. It's crazy. $55.
and that's why I just wanted to drive that point home, because a lot of people are just unaware that you can really buy land for that cheap. Now, does land go all the way up? Actually, of course it does. We bought, our biggest acquisition was 260 acres for $3.4 million. But it's a wide range, so you can start wherever you comfortable at. Wherever you comfortable investing, you can start. We all could whip up $250 and go buy a piece of land.
Come on. Sure. But you're talking about something that's an asset opposed to a liability.
Absolutely.
You know, the premise I want people to understand is buying assets over liabilities, it should be the necessity. It should be your premise, your purpose, everything. Because as you've seen with a $55 purchase, he was able to damn near 10x his money, man. You know, and it's because he understands it and he knows that money is supposed to be working, making him more money, right? So how did you guys get into this? You say you have mentors, but how did you, how did the mentors invite you in?
You know what's crazy? All of these positions, right, come from a position of being fed up, right? You got, first of all, for anybody that's listening out there, first of all, you need to be angry about your situation first and foremost, right? Because if you ain't angry and you still gonna tolerate the crumbs that are given to you, you're not gonna put yourself in a position where you're gonna even seek information, right?
I agree.
So the first thing I'm gonna say is we were just looking for things, and I'm gonna tell you what we did. YouTube University. We just started looking for things. One thing me and him said at that point, we say, yo, listen, we can't keep on doing what we're doing, so we got to transition into something else. Now, I'll give you a quick little background, right?
Yes.
We paid somebody that's going to remain nameless, probably about $5,000 in order to teach us something, right? And what happened, you know where I'm going, but based off of that, let's just say we didn't receive what we actually paid for.
Yes.
But I think that was a pivotal moment, right? And I'll tell you why. That was the moment right there where we said, it's either we going to keep on going or we're going to stop right here.
Yes.
I think that was part of the test right there. Because what happens is anybody from any position would have said, you know what, I ain't doing that no more. Forget it, let's just do what we was doing before, right?
Yes.
But that test, after we came over that, every mentor after that over-delivered from what they said. Now, we could have stopped back then, but we decided to keep on pushing in because our verbatim, what we said is, go back to what? What are we going back to? We're going to go back to the old jobs, back hurting, manual labor, all that kind of stuff. And no disrespect to anybody who's doing manual labor. It's a good starting position, but that's not where you want to end.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, so I heard a quote that I heard one time. I forgot who said it. He said, it is not your fault if you are born poor, but it is your fault if you die that way.
But this is true.
Yeah.
Right? Because life is a book, right?
Yeah,
You got
it's
a
a book.
beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, for sure.
And the beginning, of course, we're children, right? But your middle is where you start changing, and the ending is every bit of you, right?
Right, for sure.
So that's the reality, which is true.
Yeah,
and I
real
agree
talk.
100%.
Real talk.
You know, but guys, I want you to see that land acquisitions are amazing, and some people live where the land might be on sale right next to them. You know, like he said, he spoke on rural
Right.
areas.
Right.
You know, we happen to be in the area where land is very expensive.
Of course, for sure.
Very expensive.
For sure.
You know, but southern areas is like, come on. You know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
But I
for
never
sure.
knew it was that feasible, like that
Yeah.
possible to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy.
Wow,
It's
wow.
crazy.
So once we start getting out of urban areas
Yes.
and densely populated areas, as I stated, it does get rural and really quick. So you just need to know how to properly put an offer in front of these people. Because it's vacant. That's why they call it rural vacant land.
Yes.
So many times we buy land for 25 to 30% on the dollar because these people are not actively using the land. So they'll get an offer from us. We call it mailbox money. Typically, when you go to a mailbox, what's in the mail? A bill, right? Of some sort. What we do is we send money to the mailbox offering a lot of offers, right? As in any business you're in, you want to make money, you have to make offers, right?
Yes.
So we're all selling something to some degree.
Yes.
So we're offering to buy a lot of land to a lot of people, and they're not utilizing it. So I always give the analogy like my lady over there, she has a Louis bag, right? Let's say she picked up that Louis bag in 2013 for $6,000. 10 years has passed. Just throwing them out. 10 years has expired. It's 2023. She since went on and bought 3 other Louis bags.
course.
So she gets the offer from me, and I'll say, hey, I'd like to buy your 2013 Louis bag for $2,000. She
Okay.
paid 10 years ago. Louis doesn't lose value. That bag doesn't lose value. That bag now is sitting in her closet collecting dust. So the chances of her accepting my offer, she may entertain that. And that's pretty much how the business
So you buying it basically discounted,
for sure.
even though it's worth more.
Wholesale, always. Wholesale, always. And you know, when you deal with that, that's one side of the spectrum that we deal with is the tax deeds. There's a whole nother philosophy where the money gets like real big. Those are entry level land deals, whatever the case may be. There's a whole nother side to that, and the other side is what we call direct to owner. Direct to owner, that's what he was talking about before when he said we send out mailers, right?
Okay.
The mailers that we send out right now, we're doing about 20,000 mailers a month, right? And the mail actually finds the situations, right? And what's interesting about our mailers is there's a price on there too. So let's just say if I know the properties, I did all the due diligence, the property is worth $100,000, right?
Yes.
I send you off for $35,000, $40,000. Now these people might have moved away from the property. It might have been a property that they inherited. It could have been somebody that bought the property a long time ago. Now they're paying taxes on something that they're not using. What we find is that the mail finds the right situation in order to do that. And based off of the price that I'm giving you is going to be a direct indicator whether that price is going to be good for you, whether you're going to curse me out or you're going to say that's something I'm going to entertain, right? Because this business is data driven. We're doing this strictly by the data. Like we're not, throwing darts and just throwing it it at a bit. We already know if the 5 and 6 acres are moving inside of a certain area, right? We know the prices. We have what we call the data aggregator service, right? Yes. So inside of that county or whatever the case may be, we're going to send everyone a piece of mail in that 5 to 6 acre range with that 35% offer and wait for them to go ahead and give us a call back. We ain't driving for dollars. We're not cold calling. Yes. We bring the people to us that want to sell. And even if they want to go ahead and negotiate up, that's cool because we've already put it at the absolute lowest. So even if I bring it up to 50% on a dollar, am I going to trip about doubling my money? Absolutely not. And we do it in those rural environments because a lot of times the land goes unwanted. You know what I mean? So it's part of the process, yeah.
Wow. You know, something crazy. Like one day I was looking at Instagram, and I was like, yo, these boys is everywhere in the woods. And I'm like, I'm a city guy, so I'm like, I don't know. I don't know I got the heart for that, right? One time I saw a video, I was like, it gotta be a bear somewhere over there, bro. And I'm talking about that, yo, I see them in the country, I see them in the woods. Yo, they everywhere, man. I'm like, oh, y'all really outside?
Yeah, for sure.
Outside.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but when you look at this, would you say that more people should get into the business of this?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the best industries that I've ever been involved in myself. And just typically because, like we said before, we're going and putting those offers out, and these people, our conversion rate right now is typically between 7 and 9%, right? So if I'm putting down 20,000 units, right? And I'm getting, let's just say I'm getting, hypothetical number, I'm getting 30 deals out of that. Mail is expensive, of course. But one deal pays for my campaigns for almost the rest of the year. Wow. You know what I mean? So once I'm in that, it's an industry that we call hidden in plain sight because most people don't know about it. You know a lot of house flippers. You know a lot of people that do a lot of things inside of real estate. But before we got in, I don't know one black land investor. And we come from a space where everybody who we learn this from, none of them look like us. None of them.
You know something crazy? Coming from a rough area myself, it was weird that I was willing to die for things I didn't even own. And it fascinates me that people have that mentality, right? And they genuinely believe that they own it. We're talking to guys that actually own land, right? And people are willing to die for something they don't even own. And you're buying it for crumbs, right?
They're unaware that they can actually own it, right? We fight for blocks that we don't own. I'm what? Just name some blocks. BK all day, Queens all day, Jamaica Avenue,
right.
Whatever you from, right? We claim these areas that we from like we own it, right? But what we don't know is we can actually start to own it and name our own blocks, right? How about I show you how to buy a 5 acre, break down a 5 acre into a subdivision. What happens when you own a subdivision? Who names those blocks? The owners. So that's when many times you go on these blocks, you'll see a St. Thomas place. St. Thomas is actually a person. You'll see a Christine Avenue. That's St. Thomas' daughter's name. Like, once you own these properties, you name the block. Now you really own it.
Now you really own it. Truth.
We doing a subdivision. We doing a subdivision.
Yeah, for sure.
We naming blocks.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. You take a 5 acre now, you break it down into, 0.35s, half acres, and you build on them, and then you put your infrastructure, your water, your roads in there, and then you name the block. Qdaboss block.
Qdaboss block. That's real talk. That's real talk.
That sounds fire.
For sure. And on top of that, I'm gonna tell you something crazy about the rural markets. The planning and zoning.
A lot easier. Not like what you deal with.
Simple.
Because they want development. They want development.
You can divide, some of these places you can divide with a phone call and break up and get separate parcel numbers.
Wow.
Think of Atlanta, right?
I'm learning
a lot. You don't know Atlanta. It's the heart of Atlanta, is the city of Atlanta, is congested, right?
Of course.
That's why when they mention Atlanta, nobody actually lives in Atlanta. Everybody lives
on the outskirts.
Around it. But when you think of the outskirts of Atlanta, what are you constantly seeing? Over the past 10 years, you saw one subdivision pop up after another. The next, and they're going to continue to do that because once they can't build anymore in the city, they have to push out. Once they push out, what do they need to start with? Land.
That's right. He's 100% right, guys. He's basically saying you see the developments, right? And someone had this initial move. This is how it starts, right? They have to buy the land before they can start building on it, right? So they make the acquisition with the land and then they start developing the land, which is amazing if you really evaluate it, because I'm pretty sure that someone that looks like me or look like her is sitting there like, I didn't know I can do that.
Real
I can do that.
talk.
And that's a legacy builder within itself, right? You start your family's whole legacy. Imagine if your family has a Robinson's way or a Johnson's way, right? That's amazing, man.
Right.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So that's what we really want to do. We want to just put it on blast for our people. Definitely showcase, because once we get involved, we got creative minds, right? So once this word really get out there, you're gonna start seeing some real creative stuff happen with lands. We do a show that we mentioned called Acres and Move Makers. That's where we highlight minority owners that own 40 acres or more or special use properties. And some of these things that we have seen, we filmed 2 episodes. Episodes that we filmed, one was our episode, which was 260 acres. If you haven't walked on 260 acres in your lifetime, I hope you get the chance to. That's half of Disney World. That was our episode. The next one we did was a spot called Doja Vineyard.
Please emphasize on that. I don't think they heard that.
Yeah.
How many acres did you just say?
260.
Do y'all understand that? New York is about a quarter of an acre per each lot, right? Here is like quarter of an acre, right? You get like 2.7, 2.8. Right, if you got half an acre, you really lit. In Long Island, you're lit with half an acre.
Yeah, real talk.
I mean, just say that number one time, please.
260
acres. And that's crazy. Yo, by the time you finish walking, you ain't gonna want to walk no more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You ain't gonna. You're gonna need a 4-wheeler. You're gonna need something. You're gonna need something. You're gonna need something.
Touch every point of the property.
Come on, bro. It's 260 acres.
We did over 400 land transactions, and we only seen one, and it was that 260 acre property. And we literally showed up at 3 in the daytime and shut it down at 10 at night, and still hadn't. And
still, you ain't get a chance to see the whole thing.
So it's a lot to see. 260 acres. Just imagine being at like a Disney World. Like once you're done with Disney World, you're exhausted.
You finish
for the day.
You finish.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you
But
finish.
just listening to that number, you know what's weird, and I always say this. During slavery time, right? Slaves wanted freedom, they wanted equal rights, and they wanted land. We're in 2023, and people still don't understand the value of land, right? Owning land. I tell every family that's what you should do. You should buy something, own something, right? Start your family's wealth with something, right? For those who's listening, I think you should understand that this is where you should start going. One of my guys, he's and I didn't even think about it until I started talking to you the other day. He actually bought something in Florida.
Okay.
And his family is building on it. So they're putting money into some colossal, man. But Jewish.
Right.
That's a regular thing for them.
Right, for sure.
We need to make it a regular for us.
For us, for sure, 100%.
How do we go about starting that process?
I think it starts with get in where you can get in, right? It's something called risk and reward. Know what you're willing to risk versus the reward. Once you establish that, that'll give you a great indication of where to come in at. I explained just on this sit down with you that you can start for as little as $100. If your investment say you can come in and do more, you can come in and start doing a 2 acre, or 5 acre, or a subdivision. So first of all, just know where you're at with it, so you'll know where to begin to jump in at. Get the education second, right?
Yes.
That's if it's not from us, find somebody that you trust, somebody you're comfortable with. You don't want to be buying things. I suggest that.
I suggest that too. Yeah, right.
'Cause you ain't gonna say, yo, you sure I gave you somebody to listen to. Right.
But once you have the education, then you can go out and put a solid game plan together.
Yes.
And then figure out where you want to go from there. There's a lot of things that land offer. We're land flippers, so you don't necessarily have to buy land to sell. Like you can come in and we'll teach you how to get it at a discounted price. You may want to hold on to it. You may want to build onto it. You may want to use it to farm on. There's a lot of different plays. My daughter's into strawberries. I'm going to get her a piece of land. I already got the name for it. I didn't even tell the name. Her name is Ari. It's going to be Strawberry Ari.
Strawberry Ari.
That's
That's
classic.
a catchy name though. I like it. Strawberry Ari.
You see, that's what I say when you understand that it's more than just you, right? Because your legacy is after you. That last name is the value, right?
After you. Real
Keep
talk.
going. I'm sorry. I want to hear this more.
Yeah, so there's multiple uses for it. You can feed yourself through land.
Yes.
Now with all the things they're talking about with the modifications of food, they're suggesting that you get land so you can start to grow your own food. Right. Then you don't have to worry about the food being modified. Then you'll know what you're eating.
Yes.
Most people don't know that they can get it for so cheap. And as I stated, we are some of the most creative people. Just tap into the industry. Now that we in the industry, I see all kind of black farmers out there. And by the way, and when it comes to farming, the statistics of that is we don't even exist. We own less than 2% of all agricultural land, less than 1% of all rural land. And when it comes to farmland, we ain't even on the charts. So we know the history of what happened with African Americans,
Homestead Act, Southern Homestead Act, all that.
So we have a lot to do. They don't want you to necessarily know about this knowledge because if you own a 40-acre plot and you start farming it, you then can do what? You can start to supply food.
Yes, you can.
They don't want you to be able to do that. So that's why we call it the industry that's hidden in plain sight, because they don't want you to know about that. That's why we have been slaughtered. That's why we've been killed for land over through the years. 40 acres and a mule. They was giving land away, just was not to us. They gave them 40 acres and the mule was your black ass.
But he's right.
It's real thing.
Wow.
Real thing.
You know what I want to ask, like, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to know, what are some of the states you guys touch and you've done things in? Like what states?
For sure. We've been in Mississippi, Alabama, Arizona, some rural parts of Chicago. Pennsylvania, just to name a few. Just to name a few. Yeah, Michigan.
We've done Michigan.
Yeah.
By the way, in our program, I don't want to use the word students.
Investors. Yeah.
Our investors are killing this.
Doing excellent.
Auction. I think my team alone in Michigan auction has bought back at least 26 deals.
At least.
26 deals.
At least. Yeah.
And I'm gonna just note one. I like to put my team on blast, on full notice, because these are first timers.
First time. Never touched real estate before, ever.
First time in the land space, and they entrusted us to give them the game, and they doing excellent. Seiko, I see you, boy. Seiko Williams, he bought a $1,500 piece of land that was worth $45,000.
45,000.
1,500 worth 45,000.
He's keeping it.
Yeah. He keeping that one.
What state is that, in Detroit?
That's in Michigan. Yeah,
Detroit. It's another part of Michigan.
Yeah, it's in Michigan. It's right by lakes. Perfect for short-term rentals.
We gonna
all that kind of stuff. You know what
do they got discounted right now on sale?
Right.
I tell people when they ask, when you come to me, don't buy it from me. Come get the knowledge from me so you can do the same thing that I've done. I don't want to sell it
unless you want to pay a premium.
But sometimes I will admit though, I think it's the fear of the unknown.
Of course.
A lot of us are very fearful.
For sure.
So sometimes going to someone you do know will make the acquisition easier. My first car was purchased from a mechanic I knew.
Okay.
Right? And after that, it was off to the races.
That trust level, right.
I said, what do you think?
Right.
You good?
Right.
I said, let's get it.
Right.
That's my first car.
Yeah.
And after that, now I trust cars. And
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes you do need that.
Yeah, for sure.
Trust factor, someone you know, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
I can sell you something that don't even exist.
Definitely,
it's
for sure.
It's native tongue.
Yes.
And you resignate. Yeah, you have a resignation.
There was a guy that sold, I think to China. He sold an airport in Africa.
Yeah, it was an African guy. I think it was from Nigeria. Yeah. You talking about hustle of the year?
Yes.
God damn.
He sold an airport that never existed. There was no such thing.
Yeah.
He sold it,
but he sold it,
and he made that money.
Yeah, he sold it for sure.
Sold him airport.
And this is why we always talk about mentorship. The reason for mentorship is to consolidate time frames. Yes. That's what mentorship does.
I agree.
We always give the analogy of, I know you're quite sure you travel a lot. We use Clear. We don't go nowhere without it. Because what does Clear do for anybody who's listening, right? I don't give a damn how long those people have been on that security line. Yes. They're going to take me and him and walk us straight to the front. And basically, everybody's looking over like, what they got that got them going to the front? Are they special? No, I paid for mentorship. I paid a premium price to get a premium result. While you sitting on that line and you could have paid $150, $180, whatever the case may be, but you didn't decide to. So that's the power of mentorship. It allows you to get to your destination a lot faster. And I'll tell you one thing that's so crazy, right? Crazy about it, right? You just think about this. If me and him spent the time figuring this stuff out on our own, we'd still be figuring it out. So why would I go do that when it's somebody who's took all the bumps, all the bruises, they done wasted all the money, did everything like that, and I can tap into an existing ecosystem that already exists and I don't have to figure nothing out.
Wow. See, but that's narrative, that's logic, right?
Right.
Sometimes I feel like in life, we've been taught to be uncomfortable being the uneducated. But the educated becomes educated when they listen to the educator, right? And being a student. And a lot of us don't like it.
Right.
We get fearful. Like, guys, I'm sitting here humbly saying I'm learning a lot today. And I'm grateful to learn it from someone I actually trust, right?
Right.
And the two brothers I'm listening to. And the narrative is not being uncomfortable being a student. There's nothing wrong with learning. You're supposed to be a student through the rest of your life, right? No one knows everything.
That's right.
Right? The sad part is they say most of us don't use about 70% of our brain capacity. We don't even use it. Right? So it says that we're babies, basically. As far as knowledge, right?
As far as knowledge, yeah.
What?
There was a yogi in autobiography of a yogi. In that book, he talks about he was, I think the guy was like 70, 80 years old.
Okay.
And he was in the mountains for like 15 years straight.
Okay.
And one of the younger yogis asked him, and the premise was, yeah, I'm sure you figured all of this stuff out. You've been in the mountains for 15 years. He said, in 1,000 years, I still would never figure out what all this life is about.
Wow.
So you never stop learning. We're going to go to the grave learning.
Right.
Yes.
Even in the land space. We still have mentors.
That's a fact.
And that's a word of advice. If your mentor don't have a mentor, you shouldn't pick them as your mentor.
Yeah, that's real talk.
You're right. It's funny because my mentor, when she said to me, I don't do business with nobody. As she said to me, right? I said, damn, you couldn't even listen to my idea?
Right.
She said, okay, I'll listen to you. At the end of the idea, get it in black and white. Let's get it done.
Right.
And I said, because sometimes business just looking at this, I feel good.
Right.
Seeing two brothers working together.
Yes, sir.
Right, because I'm going to be honest with you. Economically, a lot of us are in competition opposed to understanding we're more powerful standing united, right? And I'm telling you, as a black man myself, I love it. Because, sometimes it may be your day. Some days it might be your day. And at the end of the day, it's our day. That's our day because it's us. Right?
That's a fact.
Right? And I always tell my guys, I'm like, my favorite line in hip hop is, I'm not the captain of the yacht, but I'm on the boat. Right. Understanding that, I'm on the boat, though. I'm on a yacht. You can't tell me I'm a loser.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm waving from the yacht.
For sure. Yeah, real talk.
It's your yacht.
Real talk.
Right?
I'm cool with that role. I don't got to be at the head of the class.
That's for sure.
The infrastructure, we actually we did a podcast 2 nights ago, and we just had this same conversation.
Yes.
We're stronger together, man.
Always.
It's not about who got the most money. It's not about who got the biggest watch, who got the biggest house. It's about look at what's been done, right? Outside of our culture, repeat the same thing. We're stronger together. If I want to learn how to build a house, I don't have that information. Now that we connect,
go to you.
Yo, Q, what up? I just got this house. Where I start with this?
I'm going to blow your mind. I also fund from ground up, too.
Okay.
I'm a hard money lender. I fund from ground up.
I'm going to give you something with that. I'm glad that you said that. Right. Inside of our program, our investors, they don't pay for deals. Right? So if you come inside of our program, you find a 20-acre piece, let's just say it's $50,000.
Yes.
Acre Boyz provide that money, or our investors provide that money, right?
Yes.
We're looking for guys like you. We're looking for African-American guys.
It makes sense. I'm with it. I'm with it.
And provide
this
money. And then we do a 50-50 split. So you put the $50,000 up, property sells for $125,000. You get your 50 back. The 75 that's on the table, we bust it up. Down the middle. Everybody eats. This is what I mean about everybody working together. My investors happy, you happy, and for the record, we're typically in and out of our deals within 90 days.
For sure.
Wow.
Definitely.
See, but guys, you see what they're saying basically is unifying resources, right? And understanding that by coming together collectively. And I notice that word. I don't think people understand that word, collectively. I remember sometimes I don't even want to do certain things. Everything that I do outside of my barbershop, I have partners. Everything. And I understand the value of
power.
It. I'm like, I'm not feeling it today.
Yeah.
I'm just not feeling it today.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still getting done.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, and a lot of people say like social media. Those guys, they're running those things for me. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even feel like being bothered with the gram today.
Yeah, for sure.
But sure enough, I'm like, they're like, yo, you killed it today. I'm like, did I?
Right.
Like, did I?
The power team. Power teams, you know what I mean? Yeah, power teams.
We've learned in our experience, right? See, we all learning. Like, this is first generation.
Yes.
The biggest thing that we learned is you have to get out of the way to scale. Like, we can't scale on our own. This doesn't go up. without extra. You have to have extensions, different arms, different branches.
Yes, for sure.
What major Fortune 500 company is ran by just one person, or just ran by two team? They have all kind of subdivisions of the business. Like you have to get out the way. You have to align yourself with positive people that has the same goals and vision as you. That is the only way you're gonna grow.
Right. And they're right, because I think a lot of people get in their own way. And
Absolutely.
sometimes I will admit this, we get so stuck in our environment because we're accepted, or we assume that we're accepted by the environment. But there's a story of an eagle and a crow. When the eagle, they found out that he was an eagle, he wasn't a crow. But he grew up around crows, so the eagle thought he was a crow. And ultimately, they attacked him, and he shot to the sky, and they couldn't catch him. And he looked down, and they couldn't fly to his height. He realized that he was an eagle. I think a lot of us in our neighborhoods and our environments need to realize that we're eagles.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you say that. There's a book, I don't know if anybody's readers are on this podcast. There's a book called Simulacra and Simulation. This is the same book that was on the desk when when the people came in and was trying to get him to go for the Matrix, right? So
say the title again?
Simulacra and Simulation. So basically, what the premise of the book is that most of us go through our whole lives and never make one organic decision. All of your decisions are based off of your environment. They're environmental decisions, and I can reference that myself because I didn't start making organic decisions to myself or to me and him started that business. So you realize that once you come out of it. You realize that your decisions are actually predetermined by somebody who probably died 50, 60 years ago.
I agree 100%.
Real talk.
100%.
Real talk, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny, today we was in the shop and I played the video. It's called How to Sell to a Negro.
Oh, yeah.
And I was showing the guys. I said, you gotta watch this.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got it.
Yeah, for sure.
This is 1954.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's been a plan for us.
Yeah,
Come on.
for a long time.
Yeah, bro, and listen to that narrative, 1954 to 2023, and it still works to this day.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, whoa.
That's right. That's how powerful, once you have something, a format that's already, most people will never deviate from that programming.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
It's because comfort, right? We get caught in our comfort.
Right.
Like right now, this is something that's abnormal to me and willing to sit and listen to it because I want to get comfortable with it.
Right.
How do you get comfortable with something you're not familiarizing yourself with? Right? If I walk into a room where everyone is speaking Spanish, I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
I do a little bit, right?
Right.
Reality, just say I don't. Right? I walk into a room knowing everyone's speaking Spanish. Unless I stay in that room and force myself to learn, I'm going to always not speak the language. Because I think the wealthy or the rich don't speak the language as the unsuccessful.
Right, for sure.
They speak two different genres of language.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And for coming from like different environments, right? It's so crazy that when we first got involved, and this was like a pivotal point, like a turning point, right? Because they told us, you don't need money. Now, typically, where we come from, I need money to get involved.
Yes.
They told us, you become an excellent deal finder, you'll never need money. There's always more money than deals.
I believe it.
Now, see, before that, I would have been like,
that's a fact.
What the hell are you talking about?
Facts.
But inside of that space, you see, it's so foreign to us that if you're not willing to listen, you're going to automatically reject a statement that you have no proof of reference for.
Agree.
You know what I mean? Automatically.
You say it's facts.
Inside of that space, when that concept is actually proved, right, then you get to a space where, wow, all right, we just found this deal. It's $40,000. We don't want to put the money on myself. Let's go to them. And me and him both said, you think they're going to give us the money? Bam. Now, keep in mind, this is something crazy, right? They have an actual site that we were going to. You were inputting the deal, all the information, your comps and everything, and you fund it within 10 minutes. I've never seen nothing like this before. I've never seen it.
I think if it's money in it, somebody gonna build it. I'm not gonna lie to you. If it's money in it, somebody gonna build it. Bro.
Right.
My mentors that we came with and you're here understanding that I would go back. We'll put in a request for money, and I'll have it in less than 5 minutes.
I was on the sideline. I'm watching them like.
Less than 5 minutes.
But I guess, your resume speaks for itself.
Not even. It
has to be some kind of value there.
No,
you gotta know what you're doing.
The equity speaks for itself.
Right. It's the equity that stands up. Right.
You do houses. So if you bought a great deal to one of your guys that was a money guy, and you say, look, I got a house that's worth 1.2, I'm getting it for 600. I don't think nobody's gonna.
Only a fool to pause on that.
Yeah, and on top of that, the person you borrowing that money from can't wait till you default too, because they can't wait to take it over.
But that's the narrative, right?
Right.
You know what I always talk to people about? When you talk money, right? A great return, you see the returns these guys are showing. Let's have a real conversation about this. And I think a lot of people don't know what a great return of money is. On average, it's about 6 to 10%.
6 to 10%. That's
yes.
a fact. That's a fact.
So when you realize it, that's $100,000 will make you 6 to 10,000 in a year, right? We're talking about a year, 12 months. I think a lot of people that come from our culture believe that you're supposed to make double or triple in a year on that money. I think we have a hustler or drug dealer's mentality.
Yeah, real talk.
And I'm like, that's not reality, right?
Right.
You know, if he's showing you $55, got him $1,500, that's crazy returns. That's abnormal, bro.
That's like almost 1,000%.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why we don't have a problem whipping up money, because our investors don't look like us. They understand what you just explained.
Right.
I can't go to anywhere, especially traditional banking, and get this kind of money
and return
on my money.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why we don't have a problem with whipping up money.
Right. And on top of that now, it's like now that we have those relationships, if I don't care what number the deal costs, it's a phone call now. It's not, I don't have to prove myself. I got a long track record now. Now it's a phone call. It's funded, it's sent over to the title company, it's sitting in escrow, it's waiting. You know what I mean? So it's different relationship now. Yeah,
but
for sure.
That's the beautiful thing you're saying. You guys said that word relationships, right? Traditionally, let's be honest, we're taught that we're not supposed to network. You're supposed to stay in your 5-block radius and only deal with your 5-block radius. Right. Ultimately having a mindset of a 5-block radius. And when you try to teach people to come out of this mentality, it's kind of hard because the 5-block radius is fighting against what is learning new. And new becomes foreign and scarce, right? To a new mind. It's like, look, I'm showing you something new. Right. Because like we said before, the lack of exposure, right? I'm being exposed to something new, and I know my guys is too, and my audience also. This is something new. Right. And I'm willing to make myself very uncomfortable with it because I know that you can't go wrong with land. You just can't. Right? Let's just call it what it is. I don't care if you hold it for 100 years. It's going to still be worth something.
Absolutely.
Something.
Absolutely.
Right?
The store value in land. That's why you see the Oprah Winfrey's, the Bill Gates. They're buying all that land. What are they doing with that land? They're not building on it. They're just dumping their money into it because it only appreciates. So they'll hold on to the land. They'll watch the market for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And when it's time to cash out, they'll cash out. If it's not time to cash out, they'll just... The taxes on land.
Touch that. Touch that real quick.
If it's not
touch
occupied,
that real quick.
Yeah, if it's not occupied, it's always going to be lower than the housing market. We had a 2-acre that we paid $6 a year for. These are, if I show you the taxes that's on these properties, $24 for the year, $48 for the year. So this is why they dump their money in land, because first of all, they get taxed. Some of them offers tax shelters, and it only appreciates way faster than traditional banking will.
And on top of that,
buy some land.
And on top of that, the closing costs. We buy a 50-acre property. Closing costs about $1,700 on a 50-acre property.
And traditionally, like something like this,
5 to 7% of the loan amount, or whatever the case may be, typically higher. But when you're dealing with strictly land, undeveloped, you're talking about closing costs, which means it's a lower denomination that mostly anybody can get involved with because the cost of actually closing is not crazy.
You want to know something? You know how I know that they're honest? And I'm going to be honest with you. Any person that does anything in real estate or investment fields, if a person tell me that you have too much, they're full of crap. In real estate, there is never enough money to fund as many deals there is.
For sure.
Like I remember one time a guy, I said, yo, jump in on 100K. He said, if you got money, why you need my money? I said, because it's never enough money.
It's never enough money.
Yo, bro, you just need more.
You need more. That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's running 10 deals at one time.
That's a fact.
I got 10 land, 20 land, 30 land deals.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you still need more.
For sure.
Like, it's just how it goes.
Our mentor, he still does JVs right now, and he's up. But why? You got working capital, and then you got other stuff that you just keep in house. So it just makes sense. Other people's money. It just makes sense.
But look at the narrative when you see a net worth, right? And we talked about this earlier. A lot of the times people hear a net worth, they automatically assume let's just throw somebody number 50 million.
Yep.
They assume that person got 50 million in the bank.
Yeah, real talk, real
You'd be
talk.
surprised that person might only got 300,000-400,000 in the bank, right? Liquid. He can liquidate and get that cash.
He can get that cash, right?
He has the
right.
assets.
Yeah, for sure, for
but
sure.
he don't have it
For sure.
sitting there tangibly, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And because the money has to be constantly working, right?
Absolutely,
Otherwise,
absolutely.
it's losing value.
Absolutely, no question
Right?
about it. No question about
That's
it.
what I think we don't know a lot of.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? We don't know a lot
Definitely.
of. You know, to a young guy right now, to a young woman right now that's inspired by this interview, what would y'all tell them? Like right now, you know.
I would tell them
You gotta say you're a coach, bro. You
I
gotta
am
give him
a
his
coach.
flowers for
Right,
that.
right,
You gotta give him his
for
flowers.
sure.
This guy's helping out a lot of
Yeah, for sure.
young people.
For sure.
And he said something earlier. I want to give you your flowers. My young guy, he works on the show. He's very young. He said, you know, he smiled because he see a young guy doing something so productive and positive. I love people that's like that. I love young people. That's
Sure,
why I keep my barbershop.
For sure.
I've had it so long. It's touched so many lives. So to volunteer your time to youth, I gotta give you your flowers, brother. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, you'll be surprised at how many young men don't even have a father.
That's a fact. That's a
Right?
fact.
Don't even have a father. And one day may look at you and say, yo, I saw you like a father figure. Right? And that's amazing, bro. And I want to give you those flowers.
I appreciate it, man. Because I always, my motto is just, you know, give it to them raw, no matter how it feels.
Straight up.
Make sure that we telling them the right thing to do. And what I find as a coach, you know, I coach varsity basketball.
Yes,
I
yes,
deal
yes.
with 11 and 12th graders,
Yes.
17, 18
Yes,
years old. A lot of times they don't get it at that moment. But if you're giving the right word, it resonates.
Yes.
A lot of times I had so many times they came back 5 years later. Your coach, I remember we had this conversation. Your coach, I remember you said that. And that's pretty much our job as role models and leaders, right? Just make sure that we putting the right message out there, putting the right image out there, and putting the right wording out there for them to follow. And we've done our job. I can't save the world, but I may spark the mind of one kid that will change the world.
Real talk.
To see you.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
See.
And even for you, the first time I saw you was on Instagram.
Okay.
Doing all the different kind of things. Like even when
We
we
saw
went.
you talking in the barbershop.
Yeah,
it was heavy jewelry.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
yeah, something like that.
I'm very passionate about my people,
Yeah, for
bro.
sure. Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
very passionate, bro.
And you know what's crazy? Because I'm new to. We only been on Instagram 8 months, whatever the case may be. In 8 months, we're close to 90,000 followers right now, right?
Wow.
And you never know what impact you have on people until you actually get out there. When we went to InvestFest, we couldn't walk a block without somebody grabbing you. Come here. Listen, we were on a call the other night. I did about a 15-minute live, probably about 5 months ago.
Yes.
And I recommended a book on there.
Yes.
And we were giving away one of our packages that night. We had him on the live call. He said, let me tell you how long I've been rocking with y'all. I said, all right. That book that you recommended, he picked it up. I got it right here. This is 4 or 5 months ago. And this is what I'm saying. I didn't really realize the people that you can touch just by going out there and speaking your truth and giving that word. You know what I mean? It's crazy how many people you can impact. And just like we was talking about the coaching, people coming up to, yo, y'all inspired me. I bought my first piece of land off of y'all free information. Wow. It's like, what? But you don't really realize how many people you're impacting just by just speaking and talking your truth.
I'm gonna buy a piece of land from talking to y'all today.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, I have houses,
Right.
but I've never literally bought a piece of land.
Right.
And
For sure.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I definitely am now.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but you get people. We in a world where we need people that inspire us.
For sure.
Because reality is, if I can do this, then it's real.
Then it's real.
Sometimes people don't have access to people that are actually doing the things that they dream.
Right.
So then when they tell the idea to a very small-minded individual, they bring them down.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So already there's fears.
Right.
There's fear rather. There's the environment is not really doing it.
For sure.
So it's a lot of factors to why. But then it's like, damn, coach, the Acre Boyz is doing. Yo, these are guys that's come from.
Right.
What? And that's what I love about the beauty of social media.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because it gives you a voice, especially when you have the right voice to the right ear.
Right.
And the right person hearing it,
Sure.
it resonates.
Sure.
As he said about planting the seed.
Sure.
And I love, let's fertilize the world, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get out of here, let me really tell y'all what really was the deal breaker for us, right? When we really started to be successful. And I don't know if this sounds cheesy or not.
It's your truth, though. It's your truth.
things didn't really change until we changed. That's just a fact. Land was just the vehicle, right?
Okay.
We couldn't move that vehicle till we changed that mentality. And what I mean by that is we had to cut the TV off, right? I don't even watch TV no more. So we started with cutting the TV off. Second, we started to seek mentorship in the form of YouTube videos.
Yes.
Like, it's 2023. You don't have to physically go and pay for a mentor. You can go tap into motivational speeches.
Right.
We started reading books,
Yes.
right? We started
Big.
getting into meditation.
Big.
We started doing all those things. And that's when the needle started to move. Not because of land. We had the right vehicle, but we changed ourselves.
Mentality.
Yes, and that's when things really started to move for us. So you said what I would say to the audience. I'll say that, right? You have to change yourself first because everything sells. I've seen a guy take a thrift shop and make millions off it.
What's up?
This pillow, somebody created
that, yeah.
and made millions off it. You know, this microphone, this table, this paper, everything sells. It's not the product, it's the person behind it. It's the mentality of the person that's moving the product.
I agree 100%.
For sure.
So,
And what I like to say is, you know, it's one of those kind of things where everybody could talk about money all day, right? Talk about money, everybody make money. Like one of our first calls with him, this is real fun, real quick story, funny. He offering guys, you know, money, nice and not a denomination. And he said, come on, Ray, don't talk to me about money. Everybody got money. See, you don't know who you're talking to sometimes. And it just so happened, homeboy was loaded. Don't talk to me about no money, you know what I'm saying? But here's my point to that is saying this, right? You know, sometimes we can talk about money all day, but if psychologically you don't feel like you're worthy for it, it doesn't matter because you're going to self-sabotage anyway.
Agreed.
Don't make no difference.
Agreed.
So I can talk about anything. I can tell you I made $200,000 yesterday, but internally, if you feel unworthy to receive, it's not going to matter to you. You won't
100%
resonate. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure.
Yo, but my virtual mentor is Les Brown. Before I started moving
like
and
him.
shaking,
I
I
like
love Les
him.
Brown.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a motivational speaker myself. Les said, dopest line. He said, making $1 million is easy, but believing that you're worthy of making $1 million is hard. Not only did he say that, you know, he speaks things like understanding that it's the mindset, right? A broke mindset will retain broke because it's automatically going to retreat back to being broke by doing broke things.
Automatically.
Right?
Automatically.
What I love what you both guys said is a mentality, right? Creating this new being.
Right.
You know, I like to say, I killed my old self. I buried him.
That's right.
And I had his
That's
funeral.
right. Yeah, that's right. Get him out of here. Get him
And I
out
threw
of here.
flowers. I cried over him. I miss him sometimes.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But I can't be this new being without accepting the new me, right?
That's a fact.
And I'm very passionate about this and helping the culture move forward. For
sure.
You brothers, I want to tell you, I love you guys. I appreciate you even coming to do this. And it's better when it's live. Because I don't write questions.
Right.
I like the organic conversation.
Right.
Because it's real.
Right.
I think the fakeness is going down the list.
Right, for sure.
I don't want to prep you. I just want to freestyle.
Yeah, for sure, freestyle.
And we enjoy it. So that's how you guys see.
Right, for sure.
They weren't prepared for no questions. We didn't discuss no questions.
At all.
And you see they gave y'all a lot of gems, a lot of game, a lot of understanding about the mentality. Let's focus on that mentality, guys, and start understanding you are the way you think. As a man think of, so is he.
That's
As a
right.
woman think of, so is she.
Fact.
And so is she. Edit that. All right, so is she. But the reality is we need to understand that we are the way we think because the way you think subconsciously is the way you behave. Till next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.